In every language there is one expression: water is life. Where water ends, life comes to an end as well. Water turned into an inseparable part of human life since man exists. Water is not only heritage of our predecessors for us, but also is priceless heritage for our heirs. Words for water sources starting from Noah period and the Sumerian times in ancient Egypt, Babylonia and Assyria, and today they come out in Eastern and Western Asia, Caucasus, where countries suffer from drought. The future of our planet depends on saving and circulation of water. Access to the water resources is one of the main human rights. It's confirmed by all international conventions. High quality, clean and durable water plays an important role in healthy ecosystem and environment. Inefficient and irrational use of water resources is the cause of global problems. Everyone should be worried about almost 900 million people don't have access to drinking water, while 2.6 billion people live without basic sanitation. Use of the transborder water resources without harming other side, preventing of contamination of water and respecting international laws and norms on this issue are today's actual topics. Civil society organizations together with the government and international communities should be involved in controlling this process.
This is Adel Darwish, author of the book Water Wars, Coming Conflicts in the Middle East. In that book, we discussed crises and disputes of water around the world, and we looked at international law and precedents. When water is actually crossing a river or water supply or water resource is actually either crossing borders or being used by different people in two borders. The precedent was set in 1948 by the World Bank between India and Pakistan that a country building a dam affecting the neighbor will have to benefit.
According to the World Resources Institute, 2/3 of world population will live in water-depleted regions, Middle East, Northern Africa, and Eastern Asia by 225. Water shortage is one of the main reasons of the wars and the conflicts in the Syria, Iraq, Yemen, Palestine, and other Middle East countries. Today, Caucasus and Western Asia are the main alternative routes in terms of water supply for this war zone. But wars lasting in the Caucasus hinder the solution to the problem. Keeping on the occupation of rivers, water resources, and water reservoirs, and controlling of the water resources in the occupied territories, not signing of Transborder Water Management Convention by the Republic of Armenia, which occupied internationally recognized territories of Azerbaijan, as well as the issues happening around Sarsang water reservoir aimed at the artificially increasing of water shortage, preventing people to the use of water, and using water as political and economical pressure in the region. Currently, 11 rivers flow into Azerbaijan from the territory of Armenia. Total volume of those rivers is 2.54 cubic. As a result of the contamination of the rivers with chemical, radioactive, and explosive substances, plastics, sewerage, as well as changing of river beds seriously affected the degradation of ecosystem of the region. Hundreds of mines and unexploded ordnance floating down through the Tartar River, Khachen River, Gargar River, Toguz, as well as Akhstafa rivers have made serious threat to the people to use water. Tens of young people, teenagers died or wounded by the mine that they found in the rivers. As a result of the occupation of Nagorno-Karabakh and the 7 surrounding regions of Azerbaijan, melioration and water management systems were destroyed, and the economy as well as ecological balance of the region was disrupted. Shutting off and inadequate use of water that flows from Sarsang water reservoir, which built during the Soviet times in the Nagorno-Karabakh region of Azerbaijan, hinders people living in the frontline regions of Azerbaijan to irrigate their plants. This also means that almost 500,000 people are forced to live without water.
The water system, which you can see, is a set of canals for supplying with irrigation water a big area of 4 regions. Today, it has already been almost 30 years since the time when the last drop of water flowed into these canals. The war has its own rules. That means if it does not belong to me, it does not belong to anyone. So, they test us. The territories of Goranboy and Tatar regions had been irrigated with the water from this water system. The canal on my left was filled up with the water for Aldan region's water canals. These canals were destroyed and nobody uses them now. The Armenian army occupied Sarsan water reservoir. Since that time, these lands have been longing for water. The water reservoir you see used to provide with irrigation water thousands of hectares. Since the time when Sarsan water reservoir had become controlled by Armenians, all these storage reservoirs were damaged and now they are in bad conditions. As for today, we even cannot find water to drink. Before, we used to cultivate wheat here. This area was for vineyard. Now this land is empty. There is no water. People are in a very difficult situation because of the water scarcity. We cannot use the land because of that reason. As a result, local people in the region are unable to provide themselves with necessary agricultural products.
The overall volume of Sarsan water reservoir, built in 1976, is 560 million cubic meters. The area of it is 14.2 square meters. The length of the reservoir is 555 meters, and the height of the dam is 125 meters. Hydropower plant with capacity of 50 megawatt was also built on the reservoir. After the occupation, the flow direction of the reservoir was changed in a way maximum to harm Azerbaijan side.
Everything comes to life from water. A man can plant everything in these fields: apples, pears, grapes. But unfortunately, the Armenian army has prevented the water coming from the reservoir here. You see, we plant, but it gets dry. As there is no water, potatoes, cucumbers and the other vegetables are all drying up, becoming useless. The problem is that there is no irrigation water.
Thus, Armenia, which keeps under occupation of the Nagorno-Karabakh and the 7 surrounding region of Azerbaijan, makes threat to the effective management of water sources and destroys flora and fauna of the region. 148.8 thousand hectares of irrigated land, 22 irrigation systems, 6,426 km long water canal, 330 km long collector drainage network, 1,429 subartisan wells, 539 hydrotechnical facilities, 220 hydrological stations, 88 pumping stations, and 10 water reservoirs with capacity of 640 million cubic meters of Azerbaijan remain in the occupied regions, which is 20% of its territory. Sarsan water reservoirs was providing 96.2 thousand lands with water, but now it's 36.3 thousand hectares or 1/3 of the area.
After the occupation of Sarsan water reservoir, it's not possible to provide with irrigation water 7 regions of Azerbaijan. Therefore, the soil had been eroded and the lands increased in salinity. Tatar district is an agricultural region. Population is mainly engaged in cattle breeding and agriculture. It's essential to provide irrigation water to develop these agricultural fields. As you can see, we have the irrigation water in the canal. However, it does not mean that there will be this water during the year. Starting from April and May, the Armenian army will prevent the water to come here. As a result, farmers and plowmen suffer from this situation. Now for this reason, 4,000 hectares of land are not being irrigated in Tatar region.
Parliamentary Assembly of Council of Europe adopted Resolution 2085 on inhabitants of frontier regions of Azerbaijan are deliberately deprived of water, in which it's demanded from Armenia to stop its environmental aggression towards Azerbaijan.
This is the resolution adopted by 47 countries. And within this paper, within this resolution, you can see that this is unacceptable to use water as a political tool. Armenian side should do its best in order to withdraw all efforts, all things which created problem for population in Nagorno-Karabakh, especially Azerbaijani population. They should evolve from the problems, from the using water as a tool to manage the situation, to keep the occupied territories. And if we are talking about the confidence building measures, what we should do, we should give people water, right to live, right to use this water. But this water today is in the hands of Armenians. And that's why I think Armenian side should take first into account this paper.
So it's a clear violation of international law if Armenia was actually to stop the flow of water from the reservoir going into the Azerbaijani areas, which customary they used to use that water. Water is actually life.
War for water, occupation of illegally controlling of water sources are the main threat for peace and security in the world. According to the last report of UNESCO, if there are no any changes on adequate use of water sources, water reserves will decrease 40% by 2030. These terrible statistics is a challenge to the people. We shouldn't use water as a tool of war or war machine. We should save it, protect it, and most importantly, share it, because water is something to unite people, not to divide them.